Hello friends, this is Worm, according to a manuscript that I found in the trash. Today I wanted to talk about some PvP changes that we are going to be getting next season. This is kind of a big deal. If you missed the TWID earlier today, it kind of covers a lot of PvP related stuff. If you're not a PvP player, unfortunately there's not a whole lot here for you, but there's a lot of stuff that's happening with PvP, and I kind of want to give my thoughts and opinions on it and kind of break down some of this stuff, I guess, to make it a little bit easier to understand. But they're changing some of the fundamentals that we have in Destiny 2, right? And one of the biggest changes, that I want to talk about right now is the change to how they're going to set up playlists, right? So of course, currently we have our like a Rumble playlist, right? We have the weekly rotator playlist. We have a weekly 3v3 rotator, or maybe it's Crucible Labs. I think it's Crucible Labs, actually. We have the Crucible Labs, we have competitive, we have control, and then we have, Trials of Osiris on the weekends, or if it's an Iron Banner week, it's Iron Banner, or just a random, again, 6v6 rotator, right? I think, right? Or maybe it's 3v3. I can't really remember. But they're making some big changes to these playlists, right? And I've got it pulled up over here. I'm actually gonna show it on screen real quick for y'all. They've got this screen, I guess, kind of showing off what they're doing here. But it kind of gives us an idea of what they are going to be moving towards, right? So of course we still have our labs down here. They have been moved. I think labs is right here currently, and it's been moved down to here. Still have Rumble right in the middle, but the 4 changes that I don't really know how I feel about are with the 3v3 quick play, the 3v3 ranked, which is competitive, 6v6 unranked, and the 6v6 quick play, right? And if we scroll down here, they kind of go into a little bit more on this stuff. But the thing that I wanted to talk about with these new playlists is the control playlist, the unranked control playlist, right? So Bungie basically said that what they're trying to do with this is they're trying to make it a mosh pit of a variety of control games. So it's going to go from what it is currently, which is just control, right? Just plain Jane control. And they're going to make it a mixture of playlists for momentum control, checkmate control, regular control, and a new game mode called Sparrow Control, which is basically just control on big maps, and you can ride your Sparrow around, right? And this is the first thing that I've got to say I'm not really a huge fan of. I like the control playlist, right? I live in the control playlist. I think it's fun. You can go in there, test out all kinds of new stuff, and it has a certain play style, right? And you can go into other 6v6 game modes, like Mayhem, for example, if it's Mayhem week, and stuff like that. But control is no pun intended here, a control environment, right? It is the same every time you go in, right? At the mercy of matchmaking, of course, but it's the same. And now they want to change it so that it's going to rotate. I don't really know how often. I don't know if it's going to be one game you're playing Sparrow Control, the next game you're playing Momentum Control. I'm not really entirely sure. I think that's how it is, right? Based on the way they explained it here, but I think that's how it's going to be. But I don't really like this idea of having all these different control game modes in the control playlist. I think they should still have these standard, normal go-to control playlists. And if you want to have a control, a control mosh pit on all these different modes, that's fine. Go do that off to the side. But I don't like the idea of being forced to play momentum control because I want to play in the control playlist, right? I don't like momentum control. Momentum control is basically like Call of Duty. Everything has a super fast time to kill. Bows can one-shot people and just stuff like that. Not a big fan of it. And so I think what Bungie is going to end up seeing when they introduce this is they're going to see a lot of people leaving games again in the 6v6 playlist. Of course, we know that, several seasons ago, they implemented the whole skill-based matchmaking, and players just literally started dropping like flies, right? Like, you got in a game, you didn't like it, you just leave. So then they implemented a punishment system. So if you left a game, you couldn't play another game, which everybody, again, hated. And so they finally removed it. Bungie, you're kind of going back to that. You're going back to that system you had, because I can tell you right now, the people that I have played control with or played the Crucible with, they don't like momentum control, right? Sparrow Control, I'll be honest with you, I don't think that's going to work out very well. Like, they're not making new maps and stuff for Sparrow Control. They're not bringing back Destiny 1 combined arms maps or anything like that. No, they're literally going to make it giant freaking maps like Disjunction, which still hate that map still. You know, probably multiplex. I don't care for multiplex. Like on these bigger maps where you can, yeah, you can access your Sparrow, which I guess is okay. But at the same time, like, Sparrows are not the issue, right? Like, Sparrows are not what I've been, oh my God, yes, like Sparrow's gonna make Disjunction a better map. Like, no, that's not gonna work, right? So players, when they load into, you know, Momentum Control, when they load into Sparrow Control, when they load into Checkmate Control, if there are players that don't like Checkmate Control, they're just gonna leave and back out. And all of a sudden you're gonna have a situation where, again, people are just leaving Control games when they can't find a regular game of Control. And that's a big issue that I have. I don't like that this is where they're kind of going with this Control playlist, right? And where is it? Yeah, 6v6 Unranked rotates through different variations of Control, including Control, regular, Checkmate Control, Sparrow Control, and Momentum Control. I don't like that. Okay, and really, like, if you are somebody who enjoys the Control playlist, I would say you're probably not gonna like this either, right? You're not gonna like Sparrow Control because it's on these huge maps. I don't care if you can get on your Sparrow or not. That still does not sound fun. Like, I see Disjunction, I roll my eyes, right? And yeah, having Sparrows can take you to the combat a little bit faster, but also remember with Sparrow Control, like, these maps aren't designed with Sparrows in mind. So there's not just easy like Sparrow paths that you can take like you could in Destiny 1 if you're playing Combined Arms, you know? And for those of y'all who didn't play Destiny 1 or maybe didn't play Combined Arms in Destiny 1 was basically I think it was 6v6, maybe it was 8v8. I can't remember, but it was on giant freaking maps. Right, they were really big maps, and you had vehicles. You could spawn your Sparrow in basically anytime you wanted, but there were also a variety of, you know, maybe some pikes, some Cabal interceptors and stuff like that. Like, you could get on other vehicles in these game modes. They played pretty well, all things considered, because the maps were gigantic and they were designed with vehicle use in mind. The current maps in Destiny 2 are not designed with vehicles in mind, right? It's going to be a matter of, okay, everybody's going to hop on their Sparrow right at the start, go straight to B, and then get off the Sparrow. Like, yeah, it's fun. It was fun to have that glitch where you could access your Sparrow, but I don't think that that's really going to make, I don't think they should have made a whole game mode out of it, right? Of course, Checkmate. If you like Checkmate, you'll probably like Checkmate Control. If you don't, you're not going to. Pretty simple. And then same thing, Momentum Control. I don't care for Momentum Control. I don't know a lot of people who love Momentum Control, so I don't really like that they're doing that. I do like, though, that they've kind of, you know, they've changed how the matchmaking is going to work, which there was matchmaking mentioned up here. Of course, they changed it recently. They're changing it again. We'll talk about that in just a second. But in everything except for competitive, they are prioritizing connection and latency. And then with the 6v6 unranked is what it's called, the Control playlist, it's going to have some loose skill-based matchmaking. So again, we're going to see some changes to that. They're also adding a 3v3 playlist, which this is something players have been asking for a long time. So I'm really happy about this. It's going, let me see if it has what it's going to have here. Let's see here. Okay, so it's going to start with elimination and showdown as its, you know, first two modes, but it's going to rotate weekly through different modes, right? So 3v3, that's something players have been wanting for a while. We're finally getting it back because it used to be in Destiny 2. Don't know really why they took it out. But the first week's going to start with elimination and showdown. I don't know if... I don't know. I don't care much for elimination. That's why I don't play trials very often. Showdown's okay. Survival's okay. Like, all these other game modes are okay. I'm excited to have 3v3 back as a playlist, though. And again, it's prioritizing connections and latency. It's not doing skill-based matchmaking. Of course, competitive will have some changes. We're going to go over those changes because those changes are huge. In fact, we might just jump straight to it. But yeah, that's pretty exciting. Also, one of the things they're changing about Checkmate, because Checkmate, of course, it has a lot of good feedback. I think there's a lot of maybe not as good stuff going on with it, but one of the things they're doing is they're reducing the cooldown penalty from 50% to 30%. So technically your abilities are going to be able to be used more in Checkmate, which that was kind of one of the, I don't want to say complaints I had, but that was one of the issues I had, is abilities felt like they just took absolute decades to charge up. And especially if you're using a, like a build like mine where you use invis constantly and you're not getting those abilities back, like it kind of voids out that whole build. So it's nice to see they're reducing that. But yeah, I'm not going to really cover any of the other stuff in here. I wanted to move on to the matchmaking though, right? Because matchmaking is getting a new system here. Basically, it's getting a confidence styled system, sorry, back up a little bit. Currently, and I thought it worked this way. I could have sworn it worked this way. Bungie's never said it, but currently, however the matchmaking is, it's changing next season, right? So next season, when you are in a match and you're lobby balancing, what the game is going to do is it's going to get, the A team, as they call it. The first team is going to get the first pick. Then the B team is going to get the next 2 picks. Then the A team is going to get 2 picks, like select 2 players, and so on and so forth until each team is full, right? Again, I thought it worked this way, but now that I'm sitting here thinking about it, like it's obvious that it didn't, because there's a lot of games where I'm just wondering how the heck they match this, right? So if you're playing solo and you're playing against a bunch of other solo players, chances are your teams are going to be a little bit more balanced, right? Because one team's going to have the best player in the lobby, and then the other team's going to have the 2 second best players in the lobby, right? So I'm kind of excited to see how this works. Hopefully we'll see more situations where wins aren't like gate kept, I guess, right? Hopefully we'll see a situation where, if you play to win the game, you're not going to be put on a losing team, right? Hopefully we see that, because I think that actually maybe this means that Bungie's going away from the 50% win-loss ratio thing that they've said they have before, because I don't like that. I've been an advocate against that, so hopefully this means it's going away. But also, the more you play in a playlist, the more the game is going to have a confidence like system, when it comes to matchmaking. So that's pretty great. They're again messing with a little bit of spawns again, which is fantastic. But here's the big one, right? This is for my competitive players. They are finally, and they've mentioned it before, but they're finally changing the way that you actually gain competitive rank in Destiny 2. So of course, in the past, basically, to sum it up here, the amount of rank that you got depended on whether you won or lost. It also depended on performance, your enemies, all kinds of stuff, right? Now they're moving to a much simpler system where it's wins and losses. Okay, if you win a game, you get X amount of rank. If you lose a game, you lose X amount of rank. Finally, holy hell, finally, Bungie, it is about time you do this. Nothing feels worse than, you are playing a game, you're sweating your ass off, you're playing, you're trying for the win. It's a, 2-2 round. It goes down to the last wire. You lose, and you lose like 170 rank points or whatever, right? Then the very next game, you go in, you're fighting against, maybe some of the same people. It's the same thing, you're tooth and nail. It gets down to the last wire, and your team manages to pull the win, and you get like 5 rank points, right? Like that's a feels bad moment, and I hate that. And I think that anybody who plays in the competitive playlist also hates that. That is, according to this, that's going away now, right? So we are finally getting to, wins are positive, losses are negative, right? And so I'm very excited to see how this is going to work out. I will probably be playing more competitive. I do hope they will also, I hope they address the matchmaking competitive, because as you climb up on the ladder in comp, man, those matches start getting to a point where they take forever to find. So hopefully we get some, hopefully we get some news on that. Nothing in here, but hopefully we will get some in the future. Also, another small change to the comp playlist. If you are in any division other than Adept and Ascendant, you're not going to have to do promotion relegation stuff, right? So you're just, when you win, you're going to move up in rank until you get to those 2. Then you'll do promotion series, blah, blah, blah. So that's fantastic. They've also made some changes, some game modes. I'm really not going to go over those, but another big PvP change that they've made, and this is really, really good. In Trials of Osiris, now you will earn rewards based on how many wins you have on a card before getting a loss, right? So, you know, nothing feels worse than, you know, you're a player, you're on a 6-win streak and you lose your 7th game and you lose your flawless blah, 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 because all that work down the drain, right? Well, Bungie is adding some loot to help kind of reduce that, I guess. At 3 wins, you're going to get, you know, if you get 3 wins and then lose a game, you're going to get a piece of Trials armor. If you get 4 wins and you lose a game, it'll be 5 enhancement cores. 5 wins and then lose, it'll be a Trials weapon. And then 6 wins, if you lose on basically your flawless run, you get 3 enhancement prisms, as well as everything else before that. So I think that's pretty good. That's going to, again, help, you know, the players who aren't regularly going flawless. It's going to help them get some good rewards here. And I think that also, I don't know if this applies if you go flawless. It doesn't say anything in here, but if you go flawless, I don't know if you get all of these rewards on top of the lighthouse rewards that you would normally get, right? So we'll just kind of have to see about that. And yeah, the last thing here, they are finally adding what are they called? The Rose and the Mercurial Overreach to the game to be basically focused, right? And depending on your competitive rank, you will get a certain number of focuses per week, starting at Copper rank, which is the lowest rank you can be. You only get 1 focus per week, but if you get up to Ascendant, you'll be able to focus up to 7 of those a week. Now, the one thing I don't know about, I don't know if it's 7 per weapon, so 7 roses, 7 Mercurial Overreaches, or if it's 7 total that you have. But at the same time, that's pretty exciting. We also got some stuff here, you know, in case you care. Next, what's it called? The ritual weapon for next season is going to be a sword, a void caster frame sword. But the last thing that I did want to cover here, because this is also super exciting, is Trials weapons. The ones that are leaving are the Immortal SMG. So if you have not got an Immortal, I think you might have missed out on it. Maybe you might be able to get it through in-game drops. I know you've missed out on Adept Immortals. That's for sure. But the Immortal is going away. Same thing with Astral Horizon. Instead, though, we're going to be getting a new Strand Trace Rifle called Incisor. Now, that sounds pretty neat, but we'll have to see how it is. And of course, a fan favorite, Eye of Soul, is returning. I've said this before. I think Eye of Soul is literally probably the best sniper rifle in the game, especially in the kinetic slot. It takes the cake for me. But yeah, it's coming back. It's also going to be a Cassoid Foundry. They made a mention of that here, so you'll be able to spawn the little orbs that'll damage people they walk over them. Iron Banner, Dark Decider's leaving. Dark Decider, I know a lot of people talk smack on it. I have one that I use regularly on my arc builds. It's very good. And then Ganora's Axe, so 2 arc weapons are leaving, but we're getting a new Strand high impact auto rifle, so that'll kind of complete the if I'm not mistaken, that'll complete the quadruple, whatever. That's the last Strand auto rifle we need. And of course, Reese Walker, the lightweight kinetic shotgun, is coming back. And then for our Nightfall, Buzzard and the Swarm are leaving. I'm not gonna miss either. I think the Buzzard rolls were honestly kind of underwhelming for what they could have been. And then Swarm, I mean, I don't think I've ever even used that really. But here's the big one. The new weapon we're gonna be getting is an arc wave frame grenade launcher, breech loaded grenade launcher, right? So for those of y'all who for some reason don't want to go out and do Vow of the Disciple, by the way, do Vow of the Disciple this week to get a forbearance. This might have the rolls that can replace that weapon next season. We're also getting Uzume back. But yeah, that's basically it, guys. I don't know. I'm kind of excited for some of the changes here. I'm kind of disappointed, especially about the control playlist. That sucks, man, because I like just regular unadulterated freaking control, right? I don't like momentum control, you know, Sparrow control. I don't like the big maps on control anyway, so we'll have to see how that plays out. But lots of awesome changes coming to PvP, and I'm pretty excited about most of them. Great changes for Trials coming as well for the, you know, the players that want to do it. And then of course the comp changes are super exciting, right? Hopefully we just see a change to the comp matchmaking. But with that being said, I of course want to hear your thoughts on the changes that we've talked about in this video and just the changes that Bungie has brought to us this week. Last little note here, they did not mention anything about what happened last week. They did have a little excerpt right in the start said, you know, it was a tough week, blah, 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 but they have not said anything else, and we're probably not going to get anything else on it because that's typical Bungie fashion. But anyways, yeah, let me know your thoughts on the changes they're making to the Crucible. Of course, if you're still watching, go down there, hit the sub button because I did something right, obviously. And yeah, watch the videos you see on the end screen because for whatever reason, YouTube thinks you'll like them. Ladies and gentlemen, I will see y'all tomorrow. Bye for now, guys.